Welcome back everybody to another Dragon Ball Super video with Chris from TCG Disdain Elites, bringing you guys another deck profile video. I know it's been a while since I've done an actual deck video that wasn't on DBS decks or one of the custom videos that I made, but I have been getting some new cards recently and I wanted to try out some new ideas that I had that I felt it was just better to show with the physical cards because that's what we like more. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think of this deck profile, and let me know if there's any cards you'd like to see me play with around in the future with any type of deck profiles or just builds, archetypes in general. So this idea revolves around the Hireudegarn leader, and we don't really play anything revolving around the Hireudegarn archetype, like the super combo or the card that when you drop it you draw a Hireudegarn. We don't do any of that stuff. But I named this this deck idea the Time Splitter. And the main reason is because of what this Hireudegarn leader does on the front side. By front side, I mean his awakened side. I know it's not the correct way to say it, but that's just kind of how I talk about the awakened sides. But it works with his awakened side and a specific archetype of blue cards that came out to where we basically can alter what our opponent is drawing. So on this side, when you swing at a leader, you pitch a card and you draw 2. If you pitch a battle card, I should say. At 4 life or less, you restand 2 energy. And then when this card attacks, if your opponent has more than 4 energy, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it at the top of their deck. This is very important because this kind of controls a lot of the tempo that we do with this deck. First, we'll start with the boring stuff, which are the check lands. Run 4 Beerus. So we are playing the blue-yellow variant, which is probably the most popular version of Hireudegarn, I feel. 3 of the Dispo Sonic Subversion. These came out of Draft Box 5. Basically, when this card's on the field, you can return it to your hand and take a life. If your opponent plays a battle card with a greater energy cost than what they have currently in their energy, that card goes back to their hand. Now, it doesn't say when this card is played. Actually, no, yeah, it says when it's plays. It says when it's played, but it doesn't say instead of being played, so I don't know if that means that the effect still goes off if it has a onboard effect. I'm sure we'll get some ruling on that in the future. But when this card is removed from the field, either by a KO or opponent's skill, you draw 1. So this card is going to net you at least 1 card unless they neg this card to death. So if they swing at it, they remove it from the board, you still get the draw. So this card does replace itself later on. Next card. I have kind of some proxies in there because I can't find my other 3, so I had to order 3 more of them. But the Bojack Agent of Destruction, this is the Arrival blue-yellow. Very good card when you play it. Arrival requirement of blue-yellow, and then you pay 1 yellow. You choose one of your opponent's battle cards, put it in rest mode, and then your opponent takes the top card of their deck and puts it in the drop area. This already has synergy with this leader here. You put a card from their hand to the top of their deck, and then you use this. They put that same card in their drop area. So just kind of some small synergy there. It's not anywhere near the type of synergy we're going to be having in this deck, but just kind of a fun little thing you can do. Run 4 of those. Some onboard negates that we run. It's 2 of the Bojack and 2 of the Shrimp Man from Universe 10. I don't know how to... Mech Urup or something? I don't know. He gets beat up by I think by Kale, but he's a pretty cool card. So, yellow negate that comes out for 1. If you have a blue-yellow energy, when you play it, your opponent mills a card. And then this card comes out for 2 energy, and you get to untap a blue energy. So it basically comes out for 1. So both of these are very, very strong cards just because they allow us to put a body on board on our opponent's turn. Being 10k, it's not as good as this, but the fact that they get the mill card is still pretty good, and it's just always a 1 in this deck because we run so much blue-yellow. Cool one of the Son Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Bonds. Probably the least popular draft box for Arrival rare. I've never seen anybody use this card, but it does have some interesting effects with it. So for 1, it comes out for 1 blue, 1 yellow energy, and obviously the blue-yellow requirement. When you play this card, you draw 1. So this card is going to replace itself on play. Then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and negate its skills for the duration of the turn. So I did this on Untap, where someone used Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta against me, and they played it. They swung at me first time. I said no negates. They comboed. They did some crazy combo on turn 1. I played this, and I just negated its skills. So I took the 1 damage, and it negated its double strike. It negated its crit, and negates his dual attack. I mean, it's triple attack. Now, he did restand his card, so he got to swing at me again. But he was just 40k, nothing else on it. So I just kind of took the damage, and then he couldn't do anything. But it actually has some very interesting effects. You know, cards that have quad strike, cards that have, you know, crit. You can just remove those. So you don't have to deal that you don't have to deal with that kind of damage. And I run it as one of. It's cool. I think maybe when the anniversary boxes come out, when they print more of these, I'll probably get them because they're like $2-3, and it's not a there's better cards you can buy for $2-3. Say that. We're running blue, so we run the blue defensive package, 3 Senzu Bean, and 4 Dimension Magic. Felt like Senzu Bean was not needed as a 4 in this deck, just because we are playing mainly blue, and there's so many blue cards that untap energy now. So I didn't really think it was too effective, too needed, but Sparking Negate, having the ability to just restand 2 with the Dimension Magic is, I think, much better. What else we got in here? Super combos. We got 4 of the Zamasus. This is our engage tool for our rival, and just allows us to tap down cards, allows us to tap down battle cards, leader cards, unison cards, because it says, oh no, not unison cards yet. Unison cards are not considered leaders yet, but it doesn't tap down the unison card, but taps on basically everything else in the game if they're trying to attack at you. It's nice against super aggro decks like Gohan. You can just tap down the leader after they restand them, saving you having to combo out of a triple strike. 3 of the Ultra Instinct Goku Kamehamehas. It's really interesting how all of the IARs from set 9 are going up in price now. I remember this card being like 50 cents, and no one wanting to talk about this card. And then all the blue stuff from set 10 got announced, and this card went up to like $2. I think it's like maybe $2-3 now. But it's a 15k combo, regardless when you play it. You play it on your turn. It's a tap 1, 15k power, draw 1, and if it's on your opponent's turn, it's a tap 1, 15k, untap 1. So it's almost like a offensive version of a Whisk Coercion. You basically play it out, and then it's just a free 15k combo because it restands itself. I wish it was the other way around, but I get this card is kind of made more so for defense rather than it is for offense because of the untapping ability. So it's okay. We run 3 of those. For some counter plays, we run 3 of the Sun Gohans, Future Sun Gohan, which taps back anything 4 or less, and then restands in energy. And we run 3 of the Hit Deadly Vanguard, which taps back 2 5-drops. The first one is a counterplay, which gets through barrier because it doesn't choose a card; it's just a card that's being played. So you get to return a 5-drop, and then when it's played, you get to return another 5-drop. You have to choose it so it doesn't get through barrier. What's nice is that this card actually can get through barrier and or deflect. So the first one, counterplay, gets through barrier, which is great. Does not get through deflect. The second one gets through deflect, but not barrier. If that makes any sense. So the auto gets through barrier. I mean, the auto gets through deflect because it's not a counterplay, but not barrier. Counterplay gets through barrier, but not deflect because it's a counterplay. So kind of a little confusing, but basically this card can get around almost any card in the game except for things like Vegeta Inspired Technique. Doesn't really remove that, unfortunately. But we have other ways to get rid of those type of cards by killing them, you know. But these 2 cards are very, very good in tandem. Both 15k power, so when they come down, you're just getting a free body swing at your leader, your opponent's leader, or at their unison card. And I think it's a good split between the 3 of them. This card here, if you haven't bought this card yet, you probably should before set 10 comes out, because this card just continues to go up in price. It was, I think I got these 3 for like $10, and they went up to like $30 now because of how much everybody's just buying out all the blue stuff. So just a good card to have. Now for probably my favorite part of the deck is the Universe 10 slot. So we have Guasu, the 1-drop. This card's very cool, and you'll see with the other Universe 10 stuff. So how this ability works, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and put them back in any order. The ruling in the Q&A that Bandai put out, anytime your opponent, or I'm saying, so if you look at your opponent's deck, your opponent has to shuffle their deck. So, with that being said, you can basically reorganize their top 3 cards any way you want, but it won't stick because as soon as you do this, they have to shuffle their deck. So it's like, well, why would you run these? Well, this card's not very good then, you know? So one thing is that this card, this Universe 10, completely counters the Tournament of Power Field card. So in Universe 7, they play this card here. They play the Tournament of Power Arena. And this card basically allows them to look at the top 3 cards and then replace them, put them back in any order. They don't have to reshuffle because they're looking at their own deck. Universe 10 allows us to look at those same cards and then they have to shuffle their deck. So you're removing the effectiveness of that field card, specifically with this card. Now, obviously, that's not the effect in this deck, but that is the effect of Universe 10 just overall with this effect. Until they change it, that's my phone. Until they change that ruling, which I'm sure they will, because I don't think they meant it to be this way. I'm sure they meant it so you can manipulate what they're going to draw. I'm sure they eventually will change it. I think. They may not. So, we run 3 of those. 3 of the Brave Bruiser, which I think is a very, very good uncommon. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing this card in blue. What this card is, it's a 4-drop, 20k double strike barrier. So, yes, counterplays can hit it. But having barrier makes it so it has some survivability. Now, the active main, you look at the top 3 cards. If the top card, not the top 3 cards. Whew, that'd be crazy. The top card, if the top card is a battle card, this card gets 5k in dual attack. So he becomes a 25k dual attack double strike for 4 energy. Very, very good for pushing mid game, just pushing damage, because they're not really going to be expecting a card like this. Also, if they waste counterplays on this card, that's fine. I know it's, it's like, oh, well, you're wasting 4 energy for it. That's fine. We have so many other cards in this deck that we would rather them waste counterplays on things like this than other things. And then the last card is going to be good old Booney, Afterimage Slash. Probably my favorite card that came out of Draftbox 5. I love this card so much. So it's a 4-drop Deflect. That when you play this card, you play out 3 Afterimage tokens, which have 15k power, 0 combo cost, and 5k combo power. So basically, you're playing out 3. Basically, you're playing out 3 of these, in a sense, like just 3 15k bodies. And once per turn, you can look at the top card of your opponent's deck. If it's a battle card, at the start of your opponent's next main phase, you restand an energy. So it's okay if you tap out for this bad boy. You play them out for 4, do your swinging or whatever, and then at the end of your turn, make sure you do this, and then you can restand an energy at the end of your opponent's. at the start of your opponent's turn. This card cannot be KO'd if there are Afterimage tokens on board. So cards that neg are fine. Those will remove Booney. But cards like Super Saiyan 4 Kaioken, the one that kills anything 20k or less, or 15k or less, I think it's 15 or 20. It's one of the 2. But it will kill basically everything except for this card. Basically, board wipes that are not negging. If there is at least 1 Afterimage token on board, this card will stay. This is how the ruling is. All the other tokens will die, and then once this card's chosen, it will stay. I've had to argue with a few people on Untap about it because they're not reading the game mechanics, but it's okay. It's a newer card. I'm sure people are gonna have some issues with it. But the whole idea with this leader now is that we're gonna swing, make them put a card from their hand back into their deck. We use this to look at the top card, or this, or that, to look at the top card of their deck, and then make them shuffle their deck. So that card that they just put back into the top of their deck, a lot of people when they play against this leader, they probably would just put a card back that maybe they're not going to use that turn, and they go, okay, next turn I'll just draw it and it'll be fine. But with the Universe 10 stuff, you basically take that card and you just shuffle it back into their deck, and then it's gone. Now you have to basically rely on RNG to be able to get that card back. It can end up disrupting some games and basically slow down what they were trying to do. Now, people are not going to put back secret rares and things like that. That'd be very, very odd. But just in case if they do that, or they put back maybe a negate or a super combo or something that they may want to use, that card's gone. And you can use that with basically any of these 3 card effects. 2 Frost Deadly Poison, since we are running blue-yellow. It's still a very, very good card. Taps a card being played, negates its skills, you draw 1. If you're left for that 3 or less, you restand an energy. 3 Hit in Cold Blood. This card here is one of my big finishers in the deck. Comes out for a minimum of 4 energy if you have 3 blue or yellow or both battle cards on the board. His energy cost gets reduced by 1 for each card, down to 4 because that is his specific cost. So you have to pay that. But when he comes down, your opponent's leader flips, and then they can't use their awaken ability until the end of their next turn. So basically until their next defensive stance. And he's a triple attack 30k. Super strong card, very cheap as well. So a very good card to pick up. This deck does not have a secret rare. I don't have the Vegito, Power Batora, or Smoke Dragon, which would be my 2 ideals. So I have to run various amounts of boss monsters. So the second boss monster is Beerus, General of Demolition. Really old card. But a buddy of mine, shout out to Jared, he's one of the guys that we play with, played me with this card. I've never seen it before, and the effect is extremely good. So it's a 30k, it's a 25k triple strike. When this card swings at a leader, opponent has to drop 2 cards from their hand. If they can't, because they only have 1 card in hand, or they have 0, or they choose not to, they have to choose all their battle cards and their energy and place them in the drop area. It's such an insane ability. The chances of you getting to this stage of the game and then not having a lot of cards in hand is pretty significant, unless they're just playing super defensive and they just not using any cards. But you're playing this out for 7 energy, so this is late game. But the effect is just if you get this effect off, you're generally going to win the game. Because if you swing and they only have 1 card in hand, or they have 0 cards in hand, or let's say like you swing and then they negate and now they only have 1 card in hand, they basically just have to remove their entire board because they have to drop 2 cards specifically. It's really funny. I've done it on untap. I've made people leave where their whole energy, all their energy's gone, all their battle cards are gone. Now obviously it doesn't get through barrier, so if they have a battle card that has barrier on board, it will stay, but their energy is all gone, and it just kind of ruins a lot for people. So we run it as a 2 of. I'll see if we'll ever play it out. We'll see in real life. But I would really like to run the Power Batora instead of maybe one of these. And then last card is Jiren Army of 1. Figured we had to run one of these. It is a 35k quad strike dual attack. And if your opponent has more than 4 energy, at the start of your charge phase, if this is the only card in your hand, you can play it out of your hand for free. So if you have no cards in hand and you draw this before you charge, you can just play it out of your hand. If at the beginning of your stage, before you draw a card, if this is the only card in your hand, you can play it out of your hand and then draw one. So it has some uniqueness there. The chances of you actually having this, it's very, very unlikely sometimes, but that's kind of the whole point of the card. It's kind of an RNG card of where if you draw it and you can play it for that, in that situation, you're going to do it. You're going to just play it and then just hopefully swing and turn the game around, because he's a big boy. But that is my Hireudegarn deck, the Time Splitter. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll leave a deck listing in the description below, so you guys can check that out. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if any changes you guys would make to it. I know some personally that I would make if I had some cards, but I kind of have to work with what I got right now. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.